Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/TalesFromRetail. Alright, this story's called You Couldn't Have Checked the Shelves First. Sorry for the format, I'm on mobile. So, I work in a retail discount store that I'm pretty sure is specific to the East Coast. We sell the basic stuff, food, snacks, home decor, makeup, toys, electronics, outdoor stuff, you get the gist. So today I'm over in the home section getting up a new summer display. It should have been set up like a month ago, but because of delayed shipping due to COVID-19, we barely have half the stuff that's supposed to be on display. So if you work in retail, you know how annoying it is to have to set up a new display. I'm in the middle of taking down the shelves from the old display and repositioning them to fit the new one. So there I am, sweating balls in an 80-degree store with barely any working air conditioning, trying to remove the shelf from the display. I finally get it off and stop to take a breather. Here comes Karen. "Can I borrow you for a second, hon?" And before I can bother to give her an answer, she starts explaining that there's an outdoor chandelier in the garden section and she wants it. The problem is, apparently it's the last one and it has no box, as it's obviously the display model. She asked me to check it out and see if I can find the box so she can buy it. I go over and take a look and notice she's not alone. Her husband is with her. I start pretending to look for a box. I know for sure that it doesn't exist and probably got thrown in the baler months ago, but I get the idea that she's not the type of customer who's going to let me go without at least pretending to look for it. But before I get the chance, her husband starts explaining that he wants to make sure this model actually works first. It has no batteries, so I call one of my managers, because she's my friend, and ask her to help me out. She goes to find some batteries to check that it works, but not before telling Karen's husband that she believes the reason this model is on display — we don't display every model, just some — is that a customer originally bought it and returned it because one of the lights didn't work. As she's off finding batteries, Karen's husband starts explaining to me that "Those guys who returned this light to you, there's clear signs of damage and I can tell they used it for a while before returning it. So that's why one of the lights doesn't work." I let him keep explaining, but I know this isn't true because the signs of wear and tear he was describing were basically invisible, and the rust he pointed out was clearly just a chip in the paint that probably happened during assembly since it was right next to one of the screws. At this point, the whole ordeal has already taken up about 20 minutes of my time. My manager returns with the batteries, and lo and behold, the light doesn't work. Just like every one of us could have predicted. Karen's husband goes to open his mouth and say something, presumably to ask her for a discount for the broken light, and then, "Oh look, I found them," says Karen. Apparently, she turned 45 degrees to the left to the spot she'd been standing in for the last 20 minutes and realized that this display model was not the last one we had, as she had earlier exclaimed. In fact, there's an entire shelf of them right next to her the whole damn time. In hindsight, I should have definitely looked for more of them, but honestly, I was leaving in an hour and I just wanted to finish that damn display and go home. Lesson learned. Okay, honestly, it's not Karen's fault here. If anything, it's OP's fault or the manager's fault because they should know better. I suck at locating things. I'm terrible at it. It's likely that if you ask me to find something, I'm not gonna find it. So there's been many times where I'm like, "Oh, you're out of this thing," and they're like, "Nah, they're right there, man." Like, you're the one who works there, so you should probably, check, because customers are stupid, as you know. But that's all fine, though. Funny story. Glad it was shared. This story's called The Dumbest Return Request I Ever Had. This happened about a year ago, but I figured it was a good story and worth sharing. This is my first post also, so sorry if it goes a little long. I cashiered at this one retail store. I worked the job for 3 years, and I saw some interesting people and requests come in. But this one is definitely up there as one of the worst. Just some important background information. The store I worked for has a pretty strict return policy. Once it goes past 30 days, we technically are not supposed to do the return at all for them, so no store credit or anything. We typically are pretty understanding if it's a few days over or so, but generally when people come in with stuff they bought 2 months ago, we have to say no. We also have to have the receipt for the return, and the item has to be in a new condition so we can resell it if it is returned. One day in the summer of 2019, I was working up front per usual. It was pretty slow and I only had another hour or two left until I could go home. Then this one older gentleman walks in, probably in his early to mid 60s. I don't know why I remember this detail, but he was wearing a fanny pack, which I found a little strange. There, you just answered your own question. This guy comes up to my register and says to me,
"Hey there, I want to return these shoes I'm wearing right now. I've been wearing them around for a while, and they squeak when I walk in them. I'm embarrassed to walk to work."
I could not believe what I was hearing because it was so unbelievable to me. What person in their right mind thinks that it is acceptable to wear shoes around in their daily life and then decide they want to return them and expect a refund? I told the man that we could not do the return because we do not accept used shoes, since we cannot resell them, and also there's nothing really wrong with them. Generally, a squeaky shoe means that it is the wrong size for him. The man proceeded to repeat how the shoe squeaked and tried walking around in front of me to show it, and they were not squeaking, to which he said,
"Oh well, they do at work."
I told him again we could not do the return since the shoes are used, and asked if he had the receipt, to which he said he did not. I told him I was sorry and there was nothing I could do. He then started telling me how these other two stores take used shoes as a return, which I had to explain how, since those other two types of retail stores are not related to us in any way, and we are not beholden to their policies. But that was not enough for this guy. He went on again about how he should get a refund, at which point I called up my manager for some backup. This guy was starting to get frustrated that we would not do anything for him. While we were waiting, he asked me if it would have helped if he had kept the box. That was when I knew there was really no way we could help him. At that point, our store had not sold shoes in boxes for about a year. So just to summarize up to now, this guy wants to return used merchandise. He does not have a receipt or tags or anything from it, and he bought the item a year ago. So basically, every rule in the return book was broken. My manager came up and this guy starts telling her the story, and I will never forget the look on her face when she heard this guy's request. It was a mix of pure disbelief and shock. She also told him how we cannot do the return since he meets none of the criteria. He then replies,
"Okay, guess I'm never gonna shop here again,"
and waddles off. It was just such a bizarre experience all around. I am generally pretty understanding with returns, but there comes a point at which I feel like asking retail customers, what do you reasonably expect to be done here? I do not understand how people can think it is okay to buy something, use it on a regular basis for that long of a period of time, and then expect to be able to return it with no proof of purchase. Plus, also, this guy did not have another pair of shoes with him. So if we did do the return, he would have been walking around with no shoes on until he found another pair. Retail does have its good days, but it also has its bad days full of unreasonable people who expect you to move mountains for them. I never really believed in that the customer's always right mentality. I feel like there is a certain point at which you stop being a customer and you're just being an unreasonable jerk who is taking every inconvenience as a personal slight. Looking back, it definitely is one of the most unbelievable stories that happened while I was working there, and proof to me once and for all that the customer is not always right. Nasty, nasty, nasty people. I swear to God. Nasty people. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Gross. This story's called 1-Star Review, Too Bad, So Sad. A little backstory. I work in a store that sells, among other things, trading card games, board games, comic books, and collectibles. I come in early on a Friday because several items are releasing and I want to set up, make things look pretty. I'm expecting it's going to be a doozy. These products are expected to sell pretty well, and for some of them, we put the price higher than MSRP. Also, we're we're a pretty small store, single location, and we're pricing these products at what they're selling for online. For example, a box that had released at an MSRP of $49.99, and we're selling them for $90 because that's what they're going for online. I get in early and I notice as I'm parking that there is water coming from the hydrants out in the parking lot. I don't think much of it, except when I get into the building. I find that the store is flooded! There was a water main leak just outside of the mall we're located in, and it just so happens to affect our store and no one else's. The mall employees promise us it's clean water, just water that may have hit sediment, so that's why it's brownish. It doesn't smell like a sewer, so it could be worse. The front of the store is okay, but the back is a nightmare. There is water everywhere. Several of my coworkers were there earlier than I, and they were frantically trying to figure out what to do. We can't exactly go into the back of the store. Things are soaked and things are several inches underwater. It's not great, is what I'm saying. The owner of the store arrives and things get moved around. My plans are dashed and I have to scramble to get things ready before open. In the meantime, there is a group of young men, between 18 to 25 years old roughly, outside our store waiting for us to open. One of my coworkers has to tell them we're going to open a few minutes late. There's a flood in the store. We'll be there momentarily. I'm frantically throwing stuff on the shelves behind the counter, pricing stuff willy-nilly, etc. Anxiety central is what I'm saying. We finally open and the young men come in. They mill about the front counter and then see that, lo, our prices are higher than what they expected. I tell them gently that we're limiting some of this product to 2 to 3 boxes a person because people want this so badly. Several of them balk at the prices, wander around, and leave. Another couple actually buy the product, thanking us for having them because the big box stores didn't have them at all. The store actually opens pretty smoothly until the mall decides they need to find where the water main break is and flood the store worse. Water is coming up from the floor tiles up front and we're having to mop while we're still open. We're still trying to get the flooded store in order several hours later when another coworker comes up to me with a smirk on his face. He tells me that earlier in the day, several people gave us 1-star reviews, to which I respond, "What? Wait, is it because of the..." And he tells me, "Yes, it's because the prices of those products are higher than MSRP. Excuse me. The store was flooded. The store was still open. We actually had the products and you gave us 1-star reviews claiming that we were frauds, selling the products 2 or 3 times MSRP and that no one should buy from us?" It's funny because all those products completely sold out in a week and several people gave us 5-star reviews afterwards. So who's laughing now? And yes, insurance is covering the stuff that got damaged, so we're good. Okay, good. I would absolutely hate if a small game store got destroyed by something that wasn't even their fault. That's right, folks. Support your mom and pop shops. They're needed. And also, like, they 100% of the time have, like, cool stuff that is not in the big box stores, like your GameStops and your other game stores that I don't know of. This story's called Why I Hate Answering the Phone at My Job. I'll just have to cut to the chase for this post. I work at a store where we sell video games and video game accessories, new and used, and we have phone calls asking dumb questions a lot. Here's today's gem. This guy calls and wants to know if we have X game. I say yeah. He says okay. He hangs up. He calls back about 5 minutes later, wants to know, what's the price? I give him the new and used price. He argues with me about the price because it's cheaper on the online store. I said, no, it's not. It's the same price because it doesn't ever go on sale. It's probably a Nintendo game, those greedy bastards. He said, okay, and hung up. He calls back again because he wants to know if he can return the game he got the other day for the one he's looking for. I asked if he got it new. He said yes. I said no and explained the policy. policy. Oh wait, maybe he got it used. Okay, then yeah, you have 7 days to return it. If you bring it in with your receipts, I can get you the other one. He asked me to check when he bought it. I said it should have the date on the receipt. He says, but you could just look it up. I don't want to try to find my receipt. Oh, okay, yeah, let me just do it for you. Doesn't know his phone number on his account. Doesn't know his email. Last name doesn't bring anything up. He hangs up after a few word choices. Calls back because now he has a bunch of phone numbers to try. Only one of them pulls up an account that hasn't been used since April 22nd, 2019, day after my 20th birthday, to buy a gift card. I tell him that and he goes ballistic, telling me he comes in and buys and sells stuff all the time. He gives us his phone number every time, blah blah blah. I tried to explain that with the information he gave me, I can only access what comes up. I can't look at his previous transactions or find his purchases or fix any of them. He just started yelling about how we were ripping him off. I told him to call customer service. He told me to go love myself. He's going to look for his receipt and he'll call back. I turned the phone off. Wow. See, this is the kind of consumer base that I want to have in any business that I have in the future. Like, that's a dedicated customer. You know how many times he called back? Multiple.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.